See, I'm back. Now, while I get this set up and ready for him to call in, hello, 12 I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Like I said, here in just a short, we will have Brad Klinge from TV's Ghost Lab and the YouTube series Strange Curiosity. Again, if you have not seen those, look it up. Strange Curiosity, look it up on YouTube. And that goes for you too, Bob. Look up Strange Curiosity on YouTube. And episode 3 was filmed there at the Haunted Art Theater in Auburn. That Mr. Robin Terry owns, who's in the chat room with us. And might I add, he also owns Ashmore Estates. All right, here he is. Bubba Radio.
Hey, Chris.
Hold on just a second. Let me see if we can hear you here. Hold on one sec. All right, well, all right, how's that?
Can you hear me?
All right, for some reason I'm only getting it through my headphones. You there?
For some reason, what?
All right, I was only getting the sound through my headphones.
Oh, okay.
I can't hear it.
I know. Let me mess with this just a minute, Brad.
All right.
All right, let's. All right, try it now. Well, it just came out. Hold on. All right, try it now.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Could you hear it on the
Yeah, I
TV?
can hear it, yeah.
All right, I'll have to.
Yeah, turn it up and then it'd be fine.
I have to turn the microphone down and hold it closer to. All right, welcome, Brad. Can you hear me?
Did you? Yeah. Did you say welcome, or did you just bark at me?
Well, I said welcome, and I guess the dogs were saying welcome too. I have a friend over here. They have to. They feel like they have to bark at everything, so I got to keep them out of the studio.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Glad to have you on.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for putting this together. I'd say last minute. I guess it's been about a week now that I kind of threw this out here. I just kind of wanted a forum to talk about something that's just really been bothering me over probably several years now. But it seems to just be getting worse and worse and worse, in the paranormal. And I figured instead of typing out some decent statement on a Facebook post, why not find a radio show to come out and just talk about it? People can ask questions. People can do whatever they want to do, and it's just kind of a better forum for this kind of rant, I guess you could say.
Right.
And it's not so much a rant. I'm not going to sit here I'm not gonna go off and name names and start yelling and all that kind of stuff. That's not what it's about. This is more about education. This is more about, talking to people, from the point of view of someone who's been there and done that and knows, what production companies, what producers, what television shows, what networks, what it's all about. And then, try to strike that balance back again with people, with the paranormal and television shows to say, what is it that you're wanting here? Are you interested in the paranormal? Are you wanting to find answers? Are you, is the interest there, or is your sole interest to have your face on TV? Because if that's the case, then you just need to get out of this altogether.
Personally,
that's not what it's all about.
I honestly believe that there are, people that are in it for both reasons, and others, like you said, are in it for one reason only.
Well, and the people, okay, so for both reasons. So people look at me and say, now, Brad, you had a TV show, so you're sounding kind of hypocritical here, talking about people who want to be on TV shows. And it's backwards. When I started, I'm getting kind of some feedback right here, so it's kind of hard listening to me. Listening to me talk to myself. When I started way back when, I formed the group Everyday Paranormal in 2007. And even prior to that, 20 years prior to that, a lot of research going into it. That was like the last thing on my mind. I never thought about having a television show. I never thought about, and the television shows were out there, obviously. 2007, I think Ghost Hunters was out by that time. And so it was in mainstream media. But that wasn't the goal. The goal was to, go out there, experiment with the paranormal, try to get some cool evidence, try to figure out why it happened based on a personal experience I'd had. And even in 2007, there weren't a lot of paranormal groups around. There were just a handful of them around the country. If you got on any kind of social media back then, and that was kind of the beginning of social media, I guess, like the beginnings of Facebook, and actually prior to Facebook. But there wasn't anybody out there like that. There wasn't a whole lot of people.
Right.
But all of a sudden, the TV shows started coming into play. There's more TV shows that are out there, and these groups start popping up like crazy. And the only reason that I know that a lot of people were just motivated by the television is because when I did get a TV show, and I'll go into that in just a minute. I went to conventions, and I always talked to a lot of people, and I did radio shows and stuff like that. And I swear to you, probably, and I'm pulling this figure right out of my head, like 7 out of 10 people talking to me had some sort of comment to say, well, yeah, my team's, we're up for a TV show, or we're working with producers, or we're doing this, and, we can't tell you what network it's on because, it's top secret right now. And, I mean, everywhere I turned, people wanted to tell me that they were going to be on TV. And knowing what it took to get on television, it's like, no, it's not that easy.
Right.
And I would tell them my story, and half of those people weren't people that were just in it for television. They were approached by fly-by-night production companies, or just individuals, basically promising them the world and getting their hopes up when it was all a bunch of BS. And those are the people that it kind of hurts my feelings that they're just being led on by people in the industry, or people who are wannabes in the industry, to make them think that they're just going to they're the next television stars. And it's in the paranormal, it's just, in any kind of television, it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
I'll give you an example. So we'll talk about how everything happened with us. So 2007, we start the group. We're doing investigations. I actually did film, videotape, whatever you call it, edit our investigation, and I put it on YouTube. But it was just basically for information dissemination. Information about evidence, information about theories, and things like that. It was not to try to get in front of the network of producers to get a TV show. It was for fun, for one, because I'm a very creative person to begin with. I've always liked presentation. I've always, even back in school days, I was, doing the speeches, and I was, in theater arts, and I was doing all this other kind of stuff to kind of express, my creativity. Well, I have the interest in the paranormal, and what better way to express the paranormal but to do it through creative methods? And that's kind of what I wanted to do. So we're doing that, and I have a website. We're moving along and we're investigating businesses and museums and all these kinds of places because, we're getting a very good reputation. Well, July 4th, 2008, I'm at a July 4th barbecue over at Barry's house, and I got an email.
And for those who don't know, Barry is your brother.
Barry's my brother. Yeah. For those who don't know, I had a show on Discovery Channel called Ghost Lab. You probably wonder, why is this guy even talking about this? But yeah. So, and that ran from like 2009, 2 seasons, 26-hour episodes back in 2009, 2010, in that era. So this is 2008, right? So we're at a barbecue. I'm sitting there, get this email, and it's from a producer of Paranormal State, which that show happened to be on. That show just came on at that time. It was brand new. And I told Barry, I said, "Hey, we got this email from this producer of Paranormal State." And our first thought is, yeah, right, whatever, this is a bunch of BS. So we looked up the guy's name, we Google him, and sure enough, his name comes out that he is a producer for the production company that does Paranormal State. So we're like, okay, well, I wonder what this guy wants. So we get on the phone with him, and he tells us, oh yeah, Paranormal State, we were coming to Texas, and some of our locations backed out on us, and we really are looking for some locations to go to, and we're wondering if you can help us out. And if you can help us out, maybe we can have you appear on an episode or two of when they're down in Texas. And we're like, okay, yeah, whatever, that's cool. So the producer came down, and he filmed us with a little handy cam as an investigation that we had here in town. And he told us, he's like, y'all guys can probably hold your own shows. You got great personalities, you have great method. It's unique. What do y'all think about doing your own TV show? And we're like, yeah, that's cool. If it happens, it happens. Whatever. If you think so, then yeah, we're up for it. So everything goes along, and we come to find out later in life that that what they were doing is they were actually looking for a replacement for Ryan Buell and all those guys for Paranormal State, and they were looking at us to be that replacement. But they kind of figured out that we could hold our own TV show. They happened to know that Discovery Channel was looking for a paranormal show, but they were very, very nervous about having a paranormal show because of the stigma that's attached to it. And so I'm sorry, the dogs are barking there. I was letting them quiet down there.
Yeah.
So the stigma is attached to Discovery Channel wanted the show, but he thinks we can fit the bill. So he approaches Discovery Channel with the possibility that hey, I got these guys. What do you think of them? Well, because he was down here on Paranormal State 9, the other executive producers of Paranormal State were kind of pissed off that he was pitching us to another network. So there was lawsuits involved. There was people contracting, trying to do contract with us just to basically put us on a shelf so we couldn't do anything. I mean, it was just this big mess, and all of a sudden my brother and I were in the middle of going, man, we just want to investigate the paranormal. We have, what's going on here? Well, it ends up that everybody kind of got along at the end, and the production company came and they wanted to shoot what's called a sizzle reel. Now, people out there, what happens is if a network wants a TV show, they just throw it out there to the masses. They say, "Hey, I'm a Discovery Channel, and I want a paranormal television show, and I want it to kind of have this theme." So now all these thousands of production companies go running around the country looking for a paranormal team, looking for someone that can fit the bill that they could pitch back to the Discovery Channel or whatever network is wanting it to see if they would buy off on it. Well, Animal Planet at the time was looking for a television show. And what a lot of people don't know is that with the Ghost Lab, what you saw the lab portion, which was, remote investigation and things like that. That's something that we did. But we also used dogs on our investigation. And in fact, there's a couple episodes of Ghost Lab where they featured the dog. It didn't make it past editing, so you never saw it. Not like they step out ghosts. They just kind of help us mark areas that are, if they act strangely or whatever the case may be, we mark it down as just kind of another tool. Well, anyway, Animal Planet thought that was a cool idea, so all of a sudden they wanted this dog-heavy show that's all about canine investigation. And we're like, okay, whatever. You can highlight that part of us. Well, they came down, production company, they filmed what's called a sizzle reel, which is basically a 7-minute video that it's like a little mini episode, but it has a lot of introductory, who you are, interviews, a little bit about your team, how you operate, and parts of an investigation. And what they do is they take that sizzle reel, and that's what they go to all the networks with. Well, our sizzle reel was actually about dogs. It was all cane. It was like there was one shot where we're walking through a field and we got all these, looked like an Alpo commercial or something. And but that's what they wanted to highlight. Well, Animal Planet ends up they don't want to do that. But Discovery Channel was right there, and they liked the lab portion of it. So that's what they highlighted. One thing leads to another, and now it's over a year later after that first email, and we get the call that they want to do 3 pilot episodes. And we're like, cool, we can keep our jobs. We can do these pilot episodes on vacation time. It's all good. So we're going around with the producer looking for locations, and Discovery Channel gives them a call, and they say, hey, we want 6 episodes instead of 3 pilots. We want 6 full episodes. And we're like, okay, that's cool. We could probably still squeeze it on vacation time. Yeah, we're so good. So a little further into the trip, producer gets another call from Discovery Channel and says, we want 13 one-hour episodes, and we want them by October. It was June at the time.
A lot of people too don't understand how much filming actually goes into a 1-hour show.
Oh, crazy amount of filming.
Lots
so
more than
1 hour show.
Lots more film than just 1 hour.
I'm sorry?
A lot more film than just 1 hour.
Oh yeah, and see that's another thing. There's another point I'm going to make. Like for one hour episode, we did 2 locations usually. Each location we were at 3 to 4 days. Okay, and that 3 to 4 days ends up being a 24-minute segment of 48 minutes of show. So an hour show is really only 48 minutes because of commercials. So one segment out of the half of it is only 24 minutes. So when we go somewhere for 3 or 4 days and literally working 18 hours a day, 18 hours a day, it's crazy to get 24 minutes. And what happens is that people, when they edit it, people see the highlights of what happened, and they think, oh my God, investigating on TV is like the greatest thing in the world. Sign me up.
Getting so much evidence. And
you get all this good evidence, you get it quickly, you get to travel the country, it's, all this, star treatment, or this is what they think. And they don't realize that what I had to do that was quit my job. Keep in mind, I'm an IT guy, so I was making pretty good living. Okay, quit my job for half the salary. It got cut in half. No insurance, no anything like that.
Wow.
The only thing I got paid for was all the travel, and we got paid per episode. But considering that what we were getting paid was half of what I was making, it was tough. But I did it for the opportunity of the places, the budget that would be involved, where we could get some of the state of the art equipment and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, it was a sacrifice that a lot of these people aren't realizing that. Okay, so let's say that you are going to have a television show. You basically just gave up your life as you know it. If you have a family, if you have, it all goes into that TV show, and they're not going to pay you. You got to be around for quite a while to start making the money, and we'll kind of get into that a little later too. But it's crazy.
And I've actually heard that. Well, I mean, first off, I tell everyone. I mean, because I've been interested in paranormal for quite a while too, and I even, for a little while, had kind of a small paranormal group here. The only thing is, I just didn't have the money to get all the equipment like people see on TV being used. I had a few things, the K2 meter, I had EMF detector, laser thermometer, took video and pictures and done for EVPs, and that's about all the stuff I had. But I tell people all the time, that ghosts...
But did you enjoy yourself? Did you enjoy yourself, what you were doing with what you had?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I still got evidence. You don't have to have all that stuff to get evidence.
No, you don't.
But
you can walk into a place with a $20 audio recorder and get an EVP.
Right. I actually, speaking of that, used my phone when we did that down at the Haunted Art Theater when you were there the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I just used the recorder on my phone, and we got that one. But I try to tell people that ghosts, you can't make them do something on command. Either they're going to or they're not.
And that's another misconception with television. I used to get emails all the time from people that said, "How in the world can you get all that evidence in 24 minutes?"
Right.
You don't understand the big picture.
It doesn't happen. It takes a long time to get that much.
No, but and I kind of told my background. So that's kind of in a very brief nutshell is how we ended up on television. Now, our ratings were good. Our ratings were comparable with everything else that's on TV. But when you are owned by a network at that point in time, you are basically their bitch. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
And what happens is when we went through 3 presidents at the time we were on Discovery, the first 2 presidents liked us. The third one hated paranormal. He hated paranormal shows. He had his own idea of what kind of shows would do well. So no matter what your ratings are, you're out the door.
All right.
And people always point to oh, well, Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, they're the best TV shows because they've been on the longest. Well, no, they're on a long time because they're on tiny, tiny networks that have nothing else. Have you seen what's on Sci-Fi Channel? Monster Fish Takes Iowa, just these stupid shows. And Ghost Hunters happens to be kind of a cash cow for them. It's long running, it's steady, and they happen to be on the right network. Good for them. Travel Channel, same thing.
Well,
tiny channel.
And I think out of all the TV shows, I think the one that's been on the longest is actually that Most Haunted. That's from England.
From England, yeah.
They've done 12 seasons or so.
Yeah. And with that, think about this. And this is the people out there who think that they're going to get a TV show, that everybody gets a TV show. Think of how many television shows on the paranormal have actually been on. It's not that many.
Right.
I could probably count on two hands the number of paranormal shows that have ever been on television. And if that's the case, why are there 500 teams out there getting a television show? It's just not logical. It's not going to happen. For one, the paranormal genre on television, network television, is going away. It stays around for sci-fi and travel because they don't really have anything else to fill the slots. But when they do, it goes away. And that's just the nature of the business. There's people out there who just don't understand how it works. And I've got contact with a lot of people out there who have been contacted by, and I'm using air quotes, production companies, to try to get them to sign contracts and do a TV show, and they actually ask for my advice. They say, "This is what I was told. What do you think about that?" And I talk to all of those people, and I tell them, I give them advice. Don't you never want to just sign a contract with someone, because once you do that, they can basically not do anything with you, and then now you're completely stuck. You can't do anything for yourself. You can't even film your own stuff and put it out there, because, if they're trying to pitch you for a TV show, or they say they are, they want it to be fresh.
Right.
And another bit of advice is, if you truly are talking to legitimate production companies, and you need to do your research. If someone contacts you and says, "I'm so-and-so with this production company," look them up. Ask them, "What's your resume? What other shows have you done?" Because if a network is truly going to pick up a television show, they're going to hand them $3 million or $4 million to make this television show. They're not going to give it to Joe Fly-By-Night, who has a video camera in his hand, producing his own TV show.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? If you have $3 million, you're going to hand it to someone. You're going to hand it to someone that has already made 15 or 20 television shows, and that knows what they're doing.
Are you watching the chat room too right now, or not?
No, I'm not. I'm
okay.
I can't multitask when it comes to talking and chatting.
Robin Terry is in the chat room.
Okay.
And he says,
"What's up, Robin?"
He says, "Hey, Brad, I think you are waking someone up in my loft. I keep hearing something moving up there."
I wonder if he's being for real, or if he's just pulling my chain.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when Ghost Lab ended, there was a bit of not sour grapes, because sour grapes indicates jealousy and things. It's not that. It's more or less that we gave up our lives. We did all this kind of stuff for a president to come in and just you're gone, and then they just leave you high and dry.
Well,
and
I think that's part of, like, with Ghost Hunters, with Grant leaving, was because it just took up so much of his life, and and I think some of these on TV are noticing that, like Nick Groff's not with Ghost Adventures anymore.
Yeah, well, and that you can't base television, or what your life would be like on television, on what you see, because what you see is just a polished up version of ghost hunting. It's not the hours that go into it. It's not the constant travel, living out of the suitcase. It may sound all glamorous, but it's not. And so let me just, for the people who have called me before and asked my advice, I just want to explain I just explain the process. I'm just going to overall explain the process of how a real production company goes about looking for a TV show and them going and you actually getting on television. So the first thing that happens is, like what happened to us. You have a legitimate production company that goes out there, and every year there's a big convention. It's like in Las Vegas or other different places. It's a big television convention. All the networks are there, and all these production companies go there like little sharks, trying to figure out what the next genre is, what the next hot thing is, so they can make the TV show.
Well,
so
and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I guess the latest thing they're trying to do is a TV show that's naked ghost hunting.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, I obviously I seen it originally on Facebook, and I wasn't sure if it was, real or whether it was just someone,
I wouldn't
talking,
doubt it,
but
they even have like naked real estate shows. You know those real estate shows where the people go and they want to buy houses or whatever on HGTV?
I've seen that show.
They got one for nudist colonies. So what happens is that these television shows, they just see what might be popular and they try to copy it.
Well, like Naked and Afraid, which even though it isn't paranormal, it's another genre of TV show that they're with this one, it's like they're trying to combine Naked and Afraid with actually ghost hunting.
Yeah, and that's what happens at this convention. Is all these guys get together and they say, "Hey, Naked and Afraid, Discovery Channel, real popular show. Guys, let's try to think of how we can capitalize on this and other things." And all of a sudden, these people get these ideas, and then they'll go out and they'll search to see what they can find. They'll go to, for the naked one, they'll go to nudist colonies, see if there's a ghost hunting group at a nudist colony or whatever. And that they try to single out these niches, these people who have a niche of what the networks are looking to buy the next television season. And when they find that, they will try to sign them. They will say, "Hey, look, I'm Joe Blow Production Company. Okay, here's my resume. I'm very successful. This is what we want to do. We want to develop a TV show with you and your group, and but it's going to take us maybe 6 months to a year to do it. So I need you to sign this piece of paper that says you cannot work with any other production company. You cannot broadcast your stuff. You cannot do anything publicly as a group while we are developing the show, and that is going to take 12 months. So for 12 months, you are locked down. After 12 months, if we haven't got a TV show, we'll either sign another contract if we're close to something, or we'll just let you go, or whatever." People are like so quick to sign, like, "Yeah, I'll sign it right here." Well, guess what? They just lock themselves out. And here's what production companies won't tell you. So let's say I'm a real big shark production company out there. There's a lot of competition. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sign every single paranormal group that I can. That way, if they're signed with me, no one else can get them. I have no intention of using them ever. Right. But I'm gonna schmooze them. I'm gonna pull the wool over their eyes. They can think they're the next great stars. They sign it. Now I get to put them on a shelf for 12 years, and my competitors will never find them. It happens all the time. Yep. Yeah. And I have a feeling that at least 50% of these people that say they're getting a TV show fall into that category. Right. They got bamboozled by a production company who's just putting them on a shelf. So that's why I say always be careful with those, because if they want to develop a TV show, they can do it a lot quicker. Be in the driver's seat, say, "When's your sizzle reel?" Because what they're going to do is, if they're truly interested in you, they're going to do a sizzle reel. So they're going to send people from their production company to you and figure out to film some 7-minute, 5 to 7 minute promo that features you that they could pitch to the different networks. And that's on their dime. If any production company tells you, "Hey, look, we're going to film a scissor reel. You need to pay me $2,000 to do it," it's a scam. It does not happen that way. Production companies will pay. They may not pay you to do it, but they're going to pay all expenses to produce the scissor reel, because they're going to own it. think about it. If you paid a production company to come and film you, you basically own what they did because you paid for it.
Right.
So that's a scam. Another, and then what happens is, okay, so let's say everything's good. They actually come down, they film it through the reel. They go and they pitch it to all these networks, and networks go, I like it, but whatever. Well, you got to make it past about 5 or 6 layers of corporate red tape before you get to what's called a green light meeting. And what happens is that they literally have thousands, maybe even tens of thousands or close to it, of submissions from production companies of, hey, we want you to buy this show. And they have lower people that weed out all the crap, and eventually they'll get to maybe 5 or 6 different shows. And that'll go to the big executive green light meeting where the president's there and everything. They'll review it, and they'll say, yes, green light, thumbs up to this one. No, thumbs down to this one. And one show will be greenlit for whatever that particular, genre is, paranormal, for what we're talking about.
All right.
So literally, I've been told before that if you think about tens of thousands of submissions, one makes it for one show. Multiply that by about 10, 20 shows that they're looking for. You're talking about a 1 in over 1 million chance on getting on a TV show, on a network TV show.
Yeah.
The odds are against you. They really are.
Well,
and
now
you go back and
go ahead.
I say, you go back and think about what I said earlier about count how many network paranormal television shows have been on in the past 10 years. You could do it on 2 hands.
Yeah. Now, I mean, when it comes to doing the TV show, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure different production companies are going to do things differently, but did they really have a lot to tell you what to do for the show, or did they let you guys do what
they can? They can. We were very fortunate that we had Discovery Channel because they were scared of a paranormal show to begin with, and even the stuff that was very paranormal or like really really cool, they were kind of real conservative about because they didn't want to come across as, oh, Discovery Channel is condoning everything paranormal. No, that's not the case. But our production company in our situation was very unique. That since we were very scientific based and scientific process and all that, they let us do what we needed to do, and they filmed it.
Well, and that's what I liked so much about your guys' show was because it wasn't just using this, that, and the other to get evidence. You guys actually I can't remember which place it was on the episode, but it was like you guys were by a river, and then there's that levee in between the river and the building.
Yeah, that was in Louisiana, yeah.
You showed how it would go straight up to that second or third floor window, whichever it was.
Right.
And actually tested the water and everything.
And literally, and those things happen it's very spontaneous the way those happen. So when they're filming a TV show, what happens is in the 3 days, we'll walk in the very first day. We literally have not seen the place. We don't get a lot of information because we don't want it. And we literally scout. And we look around, and they said on that place that the third floor was the only place that they have seen these apparitions. It's like the only place in the house that's haunted is the third floor. And so we're thinking, why? Why just the third floor? We noticed a window that looked out to the Mississippi River right over the levee. And knowing what we know about water, polluted water, how it conducts electricity, what we know about electricity and energy, we just immediately theorized. And so with that theory, the next day we come up with an experiment. We go out, we test it, we investigate. And so what you saw on television was true to form. It was spontaneous. The ideas were coming up as we were investigating, and that's real. Because we were fortunate enough now. There are people out there who have sold their souls to be on television. I'm not going to name names, but yes, I know producers, I know directors of other television shows, and production companies, of the ones that are out there, of many of the ones that have been out there before, no longer, or still, and they say that, they will have meetings to say, okay, guys, what are we going to find today? Okay, we're going to walk in here, we're going to do this is going to happen, and a lot of times, the production company will stage things. The ghost hunting group may not know what's going on. They may be dumb to it, but the production company is doing things. And I had a lot of guys from other companies come up to me and say, they stopped working there, they started working for us, they say, we really appreciate the way you do things because it's just kind of unethical of what you're trying to portray. And I'll tell you a story. There were several situations where we had some, young producers, because when we're filming, we literally have 20 or 30 people that are like outside around, hanging around. It's like this big circus that comes to town. And there's producers, cameraman, assistant cameraman, associate producers, field producers, all these people. And we had this one young kid who, we were investigating, and we were going to have Corey, who was on season 2, the young kid. We're going to have him spend the night in this house by himself just to see if anything happened. And so he did. The next morning we got there, and we said, hey, Corey, anything happened last night? He was like, no, man, I'm playing my Xbox and listening. He did some, nothing happened, so I went to sleep. I'm like, okay. One of the producers over there trying to coach him, saying, now, did you hear any footsteps? And he's like, no, I didn't hear anything. He's like, well, could you maybe say you heard footsteps? And I right there lost my mind. I went over there, and I said, and I cussed that guy up and down. I said, no, he's not going to pretend that he heard footsteps because that's bullshit. He did. And the executive producer came over there and basically agreed with me, told the guy to go away, and that was that. The only problem that we had with some episodes of our show was in the editing, because they would maybe edit and not put things in the right order because they were trying to tell a story. If that's the only thing that I had to complain about, then I had no complaints.
Well, I've heard instances where, again, like I've said, you can't make ghosts act on command. And I've heard where, they got the group at the place to investigate and say nothing, or if any, sometimes only a few things happen, and it doesn't make for a full show, so that they've been told to add things in to make it look better. And I've been told that that's been done for Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, even though I don't know for sure. But
yeah, well, it depends on what kind. If they're out for an entertainment show, okay, fine. Well, the good thing about Ghost Lab was the fact that we had Mike Rowe as a narrator, and we told a story. We had the background, the history, the story, the background of the paranormal investigation methods, and et cetera, et cetera. We had enough that if we didn't get anything, it didn't matter. It was still a cool show because you learned something. And there was several. Someone made a really good comment to me one time. They said, "You know what? We know your stuff is real because your evidence is so bad." And I thought that's cool because you're not always going to get that loud voice. You're not always going to get that whatever. We were in St. Louis one time. We were at the Lit Mansion, St. Louis, which you're probably familiar with.
Yeah.
And we were there for 3 days, and we got one. I mean, there was murders, there's suicides, all kinds of crazy stuff. You would think the place would be just rockin' haunted.
Right.
We get one tiny EVP at some point that says, "I don't like fish and I don't like birds." That's not scary. It's not. But what it was it showcased our NRP theory, or natural recording phenomenon theory, that says, look, this is some sort of conversation that happened at some point at this place, and it replayed. Not a ghost, it's a residual, and then just because of that, it was an entertaining show because we proved a point in whatever the case may be, but it's not like the get out and oh my God, I'm possessed and all this other kind of bullshit that you
Yeah.
see.
Well, now,
Um,
now that you start talking about like the being possessed stuff, you know, I had mentioned again that Most Haunted, and one, I liked watching that show just because the places they go to, we don't have here. We don't have castles that have
mm,
1,000 years worth of history,
right.
you know. And to me, a place with that kind of history obviously has a better chance of having some sort of a haunting, just because it's had a lot more time. Uh, you know, more people could have died in these places that, you know.
Right. But you also have to remember that time that time passing does not necessarily make a place more haunted. It's the energy that does. And if it's an old rocky castle out in the middle of nowhere, no running water or electricity that we know spirits need to manifest, is it one of the best places to go? You know, these are things that, I mean, I'd like to go over there and check it out myself. And obviously, you're right. With 1,000 years of like medieval history and stuff, it would be really cool to find that kind of stuff out. But I think it's because it has that spook factor. It has that old dungeon castle feel to it.
Right,
that
right.
just kind of helps in the storytelling because it puts people in the mood already.
But the thing,
You know?
you know, that's one of the main reasons I like watching that show. And I have probably most every episode of it. But the thing that I didn't like necessarily about it was, I mean, the whole thing with the mediums that they have. And because you never know if they're told all this stuff before the show or if that's real. From TV, as a viewer, you have no clue. If, like I said, if they've been scripted, what they're saying, or if this is what they're really coming up with.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, when something happens, they all scream like they're getting killed.
Well, they do that, and they also, it's like they have the cameras pointed up their nose the entire time. So it's like, did you hear that? Did you see that? And it's like, no, I didn't, because the camera's pointed up your nose.
Well, and they'll play, sometimes they'll play like a part of a video where they hear something, and we'll play it like 10 times in a row, and sometimes I don't ever hear nothing. And granted, I probably don't have the best ears around, but
it's because that most television is made for entertainment. And if our show didn't make it because we didn't fall into the entertainment category, then I don't want to be on television anyway.
well,
I'm having more fun doing what I'm doing, you know, filming my own stuff on my own dime for free for everyone to watch because it's fun and I enjoy doing it. Not only do I enjoy paranormal investigating, but I actually enjoy filming. It's an art form, like I talked about earlier, the creativity. And out there right now, you're talking about entertainment. There are people that I know, that I know from Facebook and that I've talked to, that would literally sell their soul to the devil if it meant them getting a TV show.
all right.
And they would, and what's what concerns me is that they're so concerned with getting a TV show that I'm afraid if one walked up and said, "Hey, we're gonna put you on TV, but we really need you to fake everything," they're gonna say, "Done,
Right.
you got it." And I know for a fact that this is, like I said, I'm not naming names.
But then
But
makes all paranormal investigators look bad.
And it does, and it's going to come out that this happened, that people fake some. You know, there's the guy who helps run Everyday Paranormal now, and he's also associate producer. His name is Chris Ratliff. I met with him several years ago, actually at an experiment that I was doing on an investigation, and his team kind of passed with flying colors. Well, anyway, really good, down-to-earth guy, really good friend of mine now, and he helps with all the Strange Curiosity filming and everything. He made a comment to me one time. He said, "You know what, Brad?" He goes, "The one thing that I like about Ghost Lab is that nowhere, not one single place on social media or the internet or anything, does anybody say that y'all fake stuff.
Yeah.
Nowhere. We're worldwide. 120 countries, millions of viewers. We don't have, the only thing people say is, oh, I don't like him yelling, or I don't like him doing whatever. Well, if that's all you got, that's great. Then we did our jobs. And we did our jobs well. Now I'm afraid that, unfortunately, I'm going to say I'm very fortunate. I'm not going to say that I'm not. I got freaking lucky to do what I did. But it's just not going to happen that way to everybody and their brother. And if you get the opportunity to do it, don't sell yourself out to do it. And think about the odds. Think about the statistics. You know, there's one poor guy out there who just, every time you turn around, his Facebook post about, hey, we're getting this show on this network. Hey, you know, I submitted this my sizzle reel to a network, and they said that they're going to look at it. Well, as you know right now, networks aren't going to take sizzle reels from Joe Blow, paranormal guy, who has no experience. They're not.
All right.
They're just going to throw it away, and that's just a true statement.
Well, and now also the there's other shows too that like, what do you actually consider paranormal? Is it just not only dealing with like spirits and that, but other things like for instance,
UFOs and stuff?
Like, I think some people categorize the whole idea of Bigfoot as paranormal.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say anything that's crypto, anything that's UFO, anything that's outside the realm of our understanding
of
is
normal.
paranormal.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you consider normal as things that are within the realm of our understanding.
Okay.
Anything outside of that, which is para means around our understanding, paranormal.
Makes sense.
And Bigfoot would be one of those.
Yeah. Well, that, you know, with the whole TV show thing, it can fall right into that too with the Bigfoot, like Finding Bigfoot.
Yep. In fact, there was a camera guy on Finding Bigfoot who was the camera guy on Ghost Lab, and he used to call me all the time and tell me just, you know, crazy stories. He said that, you know, these guys really thought they were legitimate, and they were really thinking that they were going to find a Bigfoot, but, you know,
And then they
their
had
methods were kind of crazy. You know, cooking bacon because Bigfoots like the smell of bacon. Well, how do you know that? I tell you what, grizzly bears like the smell of bacon, and I don't want to mess with one of them.
and then they there was also that $10 million Bigfoot bounty, and again, none of them ever got proof of anything. Whereas, like with the ghost hunting or whatever, you at least get some sort of evidence. And these guys really technically wasn't finding anything.
Yeah, like you get a howl, you get a rock thrown or whatever. But I mean, I will admit it, I find it very interesting because I do. I mean, they find new animals every day in the ocean and the new species that they've never heard before. But it's kind of it's weird that, you know, you have these 8-foot giant gorilla-like monsters who've been spottily photographed or seen. You would think that some deer hunter somewhere at some point in time would have shot one.
Right. Well, there is a guy. What's his name? Rick Dyer, who was apparently filming for a show about Bigfoot, like an actual movie, and supposedly actually ran into one, shot and killed it, and then supposedly it's been tested, and all these tests done by like our government, and he supposedly has the body back now and is actually like touring the United States with this thing.
They heard shit.
And I just got the thought, well, if it was for real, it'd be all over the news. It'd be like the biggest zoological discovery ever, probably.
Yeah.
And the thing of it that makes it even worse is it was like, 2005, he actually made a hoax of a Bigfoot body. And it was because he was just trying to get at all these people saying, putting him down for doing it.
So pretty much, he probably sold his soul.
And he ended up, all these news crews showed up, and he was like, oh, crap. And finally had to come clean that it was a hoax. So now
hey, man, you got to put your money where your mouth is, right?
So now he's going around saying that now he really has shot a real Bigfoot. No, like most people aren't going to believe him because he's already been caught up in a hoax.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing, and you hit it on the head. He was filming a TV show, or he was trying to film a TV show, right? Well,
actually, like
in order to get
movie.
the attention, he's got to do something sensational, right? He's got to have shot one. He's got the proof. He's got the this. When it comes right down to it, he can't prove it.
Well,
and then when the attention goes away, he brings it up again. These people are habitual liars, man. I'm going to just go out and say it. And habitual liars.
The worst thing is that he had a video supposedly of this body and was going to sell the DVDs. And he wanted people to pre-order these. And once he had so many of them, then they would get shipped out.
He's full of shit.
So it was like, here, give me your money, and I'll ship this out whenever I get so many orders or whatever. You know, he could have just kept your money and everything else. It's just crazy.
It's about the fame. It's about the perceived fortune. It's about, so let's back it up a minute and look at this. So let's say that you're trying to get a TV show, your paranormal group, it's just not happening, and you need to find some other way to get some attention, okay? So you start calling every Joe Blow paranormal convention, the 6th annual Waukegan West Side Paranormal Convention, whatever the case is, where 5 people show up. And you have a booth there, and you have a banner made with, the really cool photographs and of yourself or your team, and you've made a video with a home video camera before, and you put it up on YouTube. So you know how people say like ads seen on Discovery Channel, ads seen on whatever, they have ads seen on YouTube. and I'm knocking myself. Yeah, I got a YouTube channel, but you know what? That's just my own doing. I have the audience, from when I was at Dose Lab, and so it's kind of a separate thing. But it's like creating your own celebrity when it's not deserved. I mean, you have to work I think in order to be a speaker at a convention, you have to have done something that's notable. You have to have done years of research. You have to actually speak on something that people don't know about. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit there and listen to people say an EVP is a disembodied voice. Here's a picture of a full-bodied apparition that my team got. Yeah, it looks like a freaking blob of light in the distance, but, I can see a full face. That is a bunch of crap. There's no thought. There's no discussion. There's no, people that go to my events. Literally, I was flew up to Sydney, Australia, this past summer.
Oh, wow.
And I had 2 events. I had one in Sydney and one in Melbourne, okay, on 2 different weekends. We were there for 2 weeks. 8 hours. Each seminar was 8 hours long. I was up there talking for 8 straight hours, obviously with a break for lunch or whatever, but held their attention the entire time. Why? Because I have shit to talk about. I have things to discuss. I have theories that I have tested. I have ideas. I provoke thoughts. It's because I'm a good speaker too. I mean, I'm going to say I can't hold crap. You can't have people out there who's like, man, I want to be a celebrity, so I'm going to go speak at a convention. Oh my God, shoot me in the head right now. Some of the people that I know who are out there that I see one day, who I would say 6 months ago had nothing. No, they weren't even in a paranormal group 6 months ago. They get on a team. They do a couple of event investigations, meaning that they're not true investigations, that they pay to go somewhere to do an event, and that's what they put on their resume as investigations. And now they're speaking on how they're an expert in demonology, how they're an expert in whatever the case. You've got to be kidding me. This is the only field that I've ever seen in my life where the dumbest people can get out there and do this crap.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting for people who are really serious about it. And I'm not saying I'm the only one. There's a lot of people who are very serious about it, who are very into it, who are very intelligent, who put a lot of thought into the paranormal. And it just makes us shake our head to say, you're just after the celebrity aspect. You bring nothing else to the table. You're just trying to be a celebrity, and it ain't working. Because you know who the people who end up being the celebrities? The people who bring something to the table.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole reason, like, I'm into paranormal is because I want to know if it's real or if it's not. And, you know, one day, so, I mean, yeah, people get evidence, but I just got a feeling that one day there's going to be some sort of something that's going to be able to prove without a doubt that it's for real.
Well, yeah. I mean, in my case, I know it's for real. I've proved it to myself. I've done my due diligence, and I'm not trying to prove it to anybody else, but I've done my due diligence to show that, hey, I have a valid argument or a valid case here. Because it's the paranormal, I don't know if there'll ever be that one, because everything is going to be questioned. My Gettysburg video that I took when I was 17 years old, that got me started into this whole thing.
All right.
Those guys, I was there. I saw it. I witnessed it. I videotaped it. I know it. I had people look at the videotape, analyze it. But because they weren't there, there's not a way to absolutely 100% prove that those were ghosts and that they did disappear.
Right.
They're just because they weren't there. And I'm afraid that's what's happening here, because this evidence is so fleeting, that it happens so quickly. It doesn't stick around long enough. It's kind of like the old wiretap. Remember the old cop shows where you would call, they would have the criminal on the phone, and they would say, keep him on the phone for like a minute so we can trace where he's at. But he hangs up before, and they can never get the trace.
Right.
I have a feeling the paranormal is that cop show, and the ghosts are the ones who are hanging up the phone before we can get the trace.
Now, before that happened at Gettysburg, were you into paranormal then? Or, I mean, before that, or did that one event make you say, okay, I want to get into this and find out?
I was into it as much of a kid from the early 80s could be into it. They had a couple of books at the school library that I would check out and read and whatever. It was an interest. There was a show in the 80s called That's Incredible. Had Fran Parkinson, had a couple of guys on it, and it was kind of just a news variety show type thing. But they talked about crazy stuff. They always had stories about UFOs and whatever else, but every now and then they had a ghost story, and those always interest me. Unsolved mysteries, they always interest me. I had those little experiences growing up where like you see something in the corner of your eye, nothing big. But it was on the battlefield in Gettysburg when I wasn't expecting it. It was the middle of the day. I was
going to say, when you went to Gettysburg,
mind my own business.
Did you go there to basically like investigate, or did that just happen on a regular visit?
Dude, in 1990, there really was no such thing as a paranormal investigator. It's, in the term that you know it today. I was on a family vacation. It was this summer before my senior year in high school, and so I was cruising around the country with my parents. I liked history. I like Civil War history. I like Revolutionary War history, and we just were up there chilling out. So, no, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't even ghost hunting. In fact, I think that was like the last thing on my mind. I was just into the history, into the war history, and whatever else.
Right.
But it just happened, and that's kind of the same with all this, talking about producers and television and how this works. If it's going to happen, it's just going to happen. If you follow the process and someone's legit and you have what it takes and you have a niche, that's another thing. Have a niche, because I tell you what, a show about someone walking in with a team to a haunted place with black and infrared cameras, going, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Has been done 1,000,000,001 times. No one cares. It's not interesting. Make it interesting. Tell some backstories. Do some history. Tell the story of what's going on. People like to be told stories.
Well, just again, it goes back to like that most haunted. For me, it was the story and the history of the place they were at.
And well, yeah, especially over there. But even if there's not historical, there's always history. There's always a story to be told. But theorize, think outside of the box. How can you correlate evidence over time? There's just so much that you can do, and don't be like what you see on TV. And that's another problem, is that you have, obviously fans of the show, Ghost Lab, fans of the show, whatever, but they're going to completely emulate you. Now, I know that imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but use that to be creative enough to have your own individual flair, to do your own individual thing. There's someone I know right now that was a huge fan of Ghost Lab, followed, did everything, went to like our speeches and stuff, and all of a sudden they're out, just from that, or just from meeting me, they're out doing their own events. But it goes back to like, what's your experience? And now I find out now they're filming their own show. It's like, really? Why? Because you happen to have, 5 minutes of exposure to it, and now all of a sudden that's everything that you want to do. And I'm not telling if you truly have a passion for filming, and you truly have a passion for the artisticness of it, for the passion of paranormal, and being able to combine the two of them, more power to you. Go do it, knock yourself out. But what's crazy is that what I've seen a big trend in lately is these people who are going out, now they're not necessarily trying to say they have a network show, but they're saying, well, I'm filming my own show. And by filming my own show, I'm going to create this donation account, and I want people to donate to me, to my cause, so I can go. It's kind of like this Indiegogo account. Yeah. It's like those are basically built for true film people who are trying to film a either a documentary or some sort of movie or something that just didn't have the means, but they were good. They were out of film school or whatever, and they had the backing of a few people, and it was kind of like an investment thing. But what paranormal people, what I've seen they're using it for, is they're saying, hey, I'm filming my show now, okay? I created this account. I want everyone to donate to me, basically so you can pay for my travel to go to these fun paranormal places. So if you look at it from a 10,000-foot view, it's really not that they're they might be into the paranormal or maybe not, or into the filming or maybe not, but they found a way that they can get people under the disguise of filming to pay for their hobby, the ghost hunt, by either buying the equipment, paying for the locations, paying the travel for the locations. But other than that, they have no business being in film. None.
Well, yeah, some of that equipment, though, is so expensive. I mean, I always wanted to get a FLIR, but, that could run into several $1,000s.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, you go out there and you say, hey, my team wants to buy a FLIR camera. If you would like to donate, then here you go. Be honest about it. Don't hide behind filming to support your hobby.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of that too. I've seen people actually go as far as creating, or I can't say they created it, but they said someone else created it, but like a logo of a show using like a real network's logo, and like their picture saying, "Hey, this is our new television show." I was like, really? Because that looks like my 6-year-old just got on Photoshop and did that. And I've questioned that. And I've questioned these people directly, and they're like, "Oh, well, so and so at this network, they said that yeah, I had a show." And I said, "Really? Have you Googled that person's name?" "Oh yeah. Oh, they don't even work." I guarantee you, if there's a producer out there that has worked on a television show at a big network, you're going to be able to Google them, and you're going to be able to find them immediately.
Yeah.
That's going to be out there. If you got to search and search and search for someone's name and you can't even find it, they're full of crap.
Yep.
Either they're full of crap telling you about their TV show, or they got bamboozled by someone who's full of crap.
And they just think they're right.
Yeah. And that's all it's about. It's all about, I don't care what happens at the end of the day. I'm gonna be famous, and it goes into people writing books. I talk about the people at conventions and who have no business being there. You got people who say, "Well, I'm a published author." Well, I'm sorry, I can write a few pages down and go to Kinko's and print it off and sell it. That doesn't mean I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning author. I just went and printed something fancy and sold it. Going through the whole book publishing thing is almost as difficult, if not even more difficult, than the television thing. I mean, there's book publishers and producers and agents and there's upfront money, and there's royalties, and there's legal, and there's copyright. There's all kinds of stuff. And I have been through that too, because I authored a book. So I don't want to come off as saying, almost conceded that, well, I did it, you can't do it. I'm trying to keep it real. I'm trying to tell you, hey, look, I'm just a normal guy who got thrown into this. All of a sudden, I got a TV show. I'm writing this book. I know how it works. And there's two sets of people out there. If you're the type of person that's trying to bullshit everybody else and lead them to believe that you're famous when you're not, I'm going to call you out on the carpet, because I know you're not. If you're a person who is being misled by someone like that, I'm going to educate you. I'm going to let you know what to look for. There's plenty of other cool people out there. There's one group up in the Rockford, Illinois, Wisconsin area that I had talked to. She called me and said, Brad, there's a production company. They said this and that. And I basically walked her through the process, and I told her what her next steps should be. She followed that, and, she found out that they were basically trying to put her on a shelf, like I had talked about earlier. But she was intelligent enough at this point to ask the right questions and be smart about it. And that's what people need to be. You just got to be smart about this stuff,
Not go for the first one that throws you some money.
Oh, well, now,
What's that?
Now, if you were offered to do another paranormal TV show, would you?
I have already been offered to do other paranormal TV shows, and I've turned them down.
Okay.
But if the right one comes along, I can never say never.
Now, is it too? A lot to do with your decision in not doing it.
No, it has to be done right. It has to be it has to be done on the right terms. It has to be, I have to have a lot more control over it, which I had some control over. I was fortunate that the control that I didn't have, that they went ahead and did for me anyway. So there was no need to have the strict control. But this ain't my first rodeo now, so now I'm in the driver's seat, and it's going to be my way. And until that comes along, then I have the option to do whatever I want to do.
All right.
And yeah, I've already been approached. I've already been turned down. That's another thing. I'm not going to sit there, even when Discovery Channel was courting us, I didn't go around telling people Discovery Channel is courting us. Looks like I'm going to get a TV show. Now, I wasn't giving everybody the play-by-play. I was completely silent. And I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to trash talk. I'm not going to sit there. I played football all my life. I'm not going to sit there and trash talk another team because they might beat the crap out of us. I'm silent. But if we end up beating the crap out of them, I'm still silent, and I walk off the field because I just proved what I can do out on the field. And if you're really in this process, and it's true, and you're out there yapping your mouth, the networks might come and say, "I don't want that person because they've kind of blown our cover." They want you to be fresh. They want you to be the new thing. If you're out there telling them, "Oh yeah, Discovery Channel, this and that," they might even sue you because the part of that paper that you sign is a confidentiality agreement. You can't even tell people about it. It cracks me up when people go, "Oh yeah, that's a television show. We start filming next May. Can't tell you what network it's on. Can't tell you what it's about. It's all super secret." Well, if it was super secret, you wouldn't even tell me that much.
Yeah.
So for all the braggarts out there shooting your mouth off, now people are going to know. They're going to question you, and you're not going to be able to BS them anymore. That's kind of what the purpose of this is. I'm just so tired of the BS that's out there revolving around this.
All right. Now, when it came to the episodes of Ghost Lab that you did, what
you said?
What just with the episodes of Ghost Lab that you did, what was there one favorite place out of all those that you went to and investigated, or?
I would say, well, I really like Alcatraz simply because it was Alcatraz.
All right.
Yeah.
A friend of mine actually just posted on Facebook tonight that she was visiting Alcatraz and doing a tour. And I was like,
so we got to go there for 4 days, and we were there by ourselves. So after the last tour groups left, we carried over with all of our equipment, and we got to set up, and we were literally the only ones there on the island.
Oh, wow.
And we had access to the places that the public can't go, like the dungeon, the old Civil War fort that's below the prison. Just being out there, and then this thick fog rolled in one night. And if you ever been to San Francisco before?
No.
Okay, so if you're on the bay, the fog rolls in, and you hear the fog horn, the whirr, and the buoys ringing, and you're like, this is the creepiest setup that I've ever seen in my life. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face, the fog was so thick. And all the people like Al Capone and Robert Stroud and all the history that has been on the rock.
What the Birdman?
There. Yeah, that's the Birdman. Birdman Alcatraz.
Honestly, I think that place would be just creepy anyway, being there.
Man, what happened was what happens in a TV show too that people aren't aware of is that the producers, once it's said and done, they try to tell a story from beginning to end. They can't just hop from one thing to another, leaving the viewers confused. So they want to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what happened in Alcatraz is, true to form, we show up, we look for some piece of evidence. If we get it, we theorize as to what it is, and we try to experiment to see how we get more of it, etc. So the first thing we got was we got a name. And Robert Nietzsche, I think is what the name was, if I remember correctly. And so we're searching the logs of Alcatraz. We're looking at the employee records. We're looking at the guards. We speak with the former guard of Alcatraz. We're trying to find this name of this person. And then Steve Hawk on our team at one point is up in the infirmary, and he gets one of the loudest, clearest EVPs ever. The loud, deep, clear voice. I forget what it said, but it said 3 or 4 words. But they didn't use it on the episode because it didn't really have to do with us finding a name. It was just a random EVP. That's the kind of thing that's a little upsetting to me, because I want to show the greatest of great evidence, but if it didn't fit the story, they didn't show it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well,
There's a lot of twists or like that.
I think, to be honest, like the episodes that you guys have done, probably one of my absolute favorite was when the John Wilkes Booth episode.
That's one of my two favorites. Yep.
And just your guys' reaction when you got that EVP. And to me, even the first time I heard that was clear as a bell is what it said. You know, you could, before you guys even on the show said what you thought the EVP said, it was already clear then. You know.
Yeah. Now let me
I
say
am
about
John
that.
Wilkes Booth.
Yeah. Yes, I'm John Wilkes Booth. And what the part that cut out is at the very end, it says, "You bastard." So it says, "Yes, I'm John Wilkes Booth, you bastard." But then it didn't play that part. Just that last part.
Wow,
But,
that makes it even
What's
crazier.
Yeah, it makes it even crazier, right? But what's funny about that is typical editor and talent, I guess you call it, differences. So we go in there, and there's a story that, John Wilkes Booth comes down, he escapes Washington after he assassinates Lincoln, and he doesn't die in the barn like they said. He makes it all the way to Texas, and he gets to this opera house. Well, we thought it was cool. Hey, it's a cool story, man. It'd be really cool if we got John Wilkes Booth. That'd be really cool if we found him here. Thinking that was probably the most impossible thing in the world to ever do. So we provoke like we normally do in situations like that. I get a little gun that matches the gun that he used to kill Lincoln, and first day we're up there, I'm up at the balcony, and Steve Harris is there listening, and Barry's in there. Only us three. And we recorded that voice. Now, we didn't know we got that voice first. That was found a little bit later.
Right, you didn't hear it with your own ears.
No, we didn't hear it with our own ears, and we didn't hear it. We didn't have RTs in. This was during season 1. The RTs hadn't even come out yet. But anyway, so the next day we have an experiment. We say, okay, so John Wilkes Booth was kind of a narcissist. He liked the theater. He liked an audience. So we're gonna go get people throughout the town, and we're gonna bring them in, and we're gonna act like we're setting up for a play, and we're gonna fill the seats, and then we're gonna come out. We're gonna investigate with all the people here and provoke John Wilkes Booth to see if we can get him in. Okay, so we did that. The townspeople come in, and then what happens is they cut to, during the investigation, the night before when I'm up on the balcony clicking the gun, provoking John Wilkes Booth. Well, when they show that, that's the night before when no one's in there. Steve Hawk is in the Ghost Lab listening to the EVPs from the night before while we have the audience in there the second day. He's just going over the audio. He hears the EVP that, yes, I'm John Wilkes Booth. He goes and gets us. The audience is done with. We go into the Ghost Lab. We hear it. That's where we throw the headphones and we go real crazy, okay? The way they played it on TV was they made it look like Steve Hawk was listening at the time we were provoking with the audience in there, and that's when he got the voice. That wasn't true. We got the voice when we were in there by ourselves the first night. There was nobody in there, so we got raked through the coals by people saying, well, that was probably someone in the audience saying that. You don't know that. It's like, yeah, I do know that because the audience wasn't there. So that's kind of how, if they don't do it right, the editors, it makes the paranormal evidence look less valid.
Right.
But it was, it's still a great episode. It was a great catch. But yeah, that's something a lot of people don't know.
Now, is there any other, one of your favorite places that wasn't aired, or that had nothing to do with Ghost Lab? Yeah,
there's an old ghost town that south of San Antonio, and it's got a whole courthouse, Masonic Lodge, saloon, farmhouse, and an old founder's mansion. Big mansion. The town basically was died when the railroad didn't go through it back in the 1800s, and it just kind of people left and it just kind of rotted. Well, anyway, we're in this house, and Barry and I are downstairs, and our friend Johnny Hauser, who runs the Little Murder House, he was with us. He was upstairs filming, and Barry and I heard right in front of us this demonic sounding, monstrous voice, like 5 feet in front of us. Is what it sounded like. And we were like, what the hell was that? Well, we listened to it later, because we heard it with our own ears, but it was clear on the recording. It says, "I'm going to kill you before you leave."
Wow.
And now, what was even more interesting about that is before we knew what that said, we left that night, came home, about an hour and a half drive. Barry pulls in. He lives about 8 houses down from me. So he drops me off, and he goes down to his house. He shuts his car off, so it's him in the driver's seat and Johnny in the back seat. Shuts his car off, and from the back seat, you hear that same voice. And they freaked out. They're like, holy, whatever it is, follow him home.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
that'd be a little freaky.
Now, I've heard of that happen quite a bit to people, too. Have you ever had that happen where you think something's followed you home?
yeah. I mean, my house has stuff going on in it right now, and it's all because of what I've done. You know, all the paranormal investigations, all the locations I've been to. You know, you're gonna have that gum that sticks to the bottom of your shoe every now and then, and that's what's happened here. Fortunately, what we have here seems to be like a little girl or a little kid. You always hear it running. My daughter's friends who are spending the night will walk down the hallway and they'll see a kid jumping on the bed, but there's no kids in the room. Just weird stuff. But hey, you know, it's not bothering me. It's not bothering anybody. It happens. And that's another thing that people don't realize when they get into paranormal. Is I don't know what it is about the paranormal, and that people think that, number one, it's the easiest thing to get into, and number two, it's the easiest thing to get a television show about. Because you don't see every housewife out there saying, I'm going to be on the next Housewives show.
Right.
Like Housewives of Beverly. You don't see every, you know, auction or not auction, pawn shop owner saying, I'm going to be the next pawn shop show. You don't see that. Well, I don't understand why it is about the paranormal that it makes it seem like it's some sort of easy target for everyone to hit. But yeah, I mean, it ends up being that way. I don't know if that's ever going to change. You know, I'm a bastion for change. I would like things to change, but you know, it doesn't. You know, for example, any of these guys that you see on TV now, or even the guys that you saw formerly on TV, shows that aren't there anymore. Do you see them still investigating? Do you see them still doing stuff for free, like, you know, making their own show, putting it on YouTube for free for everybody? You don't, because without the show, they have nothing. I know guys that literally have almost put a gun to their head because their show went away, and I'm afraid that if some of the people who are weak-minded right now out there, who this is all they think about, this is all they desire, if they ended up getting something, it's going to go away. The greatest TV shows of all time have an end. You know, Cheers was on for what, 10, 12 years. Yeah. It went away. Friends, Seinfeld, any of those shows have long runs, but they eventually go away.
Yeah, I was just going to say Seinfeld and Roseanne and
yeah,
or some of the longest
running. Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter how great your ratings are. It's going to go away. So, if you're in a situation where you're going to throw your life away, you're going to do it for one or two seasons of fame. And what fame is it? What kind of fame is it? So you're on national television. Yeah, some people might recognize you when you walk into a store every now and then. You might sign a couple autographs here and there. But is that worth losing your family? Is that worth losing your job? Is that worth losing your career? No, it's not. You have to be in a situation where you're prepared to lose all that, because that's what's going to happen. If you get a TV show, it's your life, and they own you. I was gone 8 weeks at a time. I'd be home for 3 days. I'd go out for another 8 weeks at a time. Be home for 2 days. Go out for 4 weeks. I was never here, and that kind of sucked because I had young kids, and they were growing up and stuff like that. So I kind of look at my experience as being a fortunate one. That it was 2 seasons, it was 2 years, and I learned a lot. I learned how to film the right way. I had a lot of contacts. I can do this stuff now on my own, and I'm doing a better job at it. But that was my situation. Not everybody is like that. Don't think this is all glory and glamour, because it's not.
All right.
So be careful what you ask for, because if you get it, you might be sorry.
Now, is there one place that you could think of that you've never investigated but would just love to do?
Yeah, I'd love to go to the White House.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
I know that place. That place. I mean, you got presidents and heads of state from all over history that talk about the ghosts they've seen in that place.
All right. Well,
It was famous on Winston Churchill. And you've heard that story, right?
no, I haven't.
Winston Churchill, he's visiting the White House. This is during World War II. And he's taking a bath. Okay? He gets out of the bathtub. He looks up. He tells the story. He gets out of the bathtub. He looks up, and he sees Abraham Lincoln standing there. And he's and just in famous Winston Churchill manner, he says, "Well, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but you seem to have caught me at a disadvantage," because he was stark naked and standing in front of Abraham Lincoln. And this is something he went out and reported on. I mean, they see Dolly Madison. They see a lot of different people over history just wandering through that place.
Huh.
And just because of the history and the energy, I mean, think of all the drama that has gone on in the White House over the years.
Oh yeah.
That place has so much emotional energy in it that's probably why all the stuff sticks around.
Well, I was also going to say, I mean, I know if you ever get the chance to get back around this area, because I technically live in Springfield, which, I mean, is all Lincoln stuff.
Yeah.
And
I went to Lincoln Museum when I was up there last time. It was pretty cool.
And they say Lincoln's home is haunted, Lincoln's tomb is haunted, and then that New Salem, which is about a half hour west of Springfield.
I went to Lincoln's tomb also.
Cool. Glad you at least got to see them. I think those would be some fun places to investigate.
Yeah. And actually it's funny that you mentioned this, because I haven't even posted this yet, but I'll go ahead and announce it here. On May 30th and May 31st, I'm doing a back-to-back event up in Auburn. I'm going to be at the Art Theater on Saturday, May 30th, and it's going to be kind of a all-day seminar. We're going to have speakers, and we're going to have, I'm going to do a talk, and we're going to have some show and tell stuff. And if you've been keeping up with my Strange Curiosity, we were up there recently, and we did an episode about the possibility of John Wayne Gacy.
Right, that
on
was
the Art Theater.
Awesome too, because I had no idea that there would be, any correlation between the two.
Well, no one did.
And I know
the cool thing about it.
They say John Wayne Gacy actually lived here in Springfield, on the south end of town, but I've been told that they don't know the exact house because he never had mail sent to that specific address.
Yeah, he could have been doing it. But that was when he lived in Springfield. That was before all the murders and stuff in Chicago. So maybe he was doing it then. He didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah, but we're gonna have speakers. We're gonna have psychics. We're gonna have maybe some and we're gonna, if we're a select few, we're gonna actually do a ghost hunt that night at our theater. But we're going after Casey specifically, and if he's still there. As part of my episode, it just seemed like I just didn't get all the answers that I want, and I want to go back and do that. And then the next night, on the 31st, Sunday, we're going to do Ashmore Estate.
Right.
That's going to be a big event on May 30th and May 31st. So if you're listening, I haven't even posted anything about it yet. I haven't. That is the first public information that's ever been given out on that event. But yeah, we will be back. We will be up there.
Well, it sounds like on April 11th, I will be at Ashmore Estates broadcasting, and they're going to have that Nick Groff is going to be there. And the way I'm getting it is, like, you get tickets to go to this thing, and it's like an all-day or it's like a seminar and a meet and greet type of thing. And then you can get like for a certain amount of people, if they pay a little bit more, they can stay and do an investigation with them. So, sounds like I get to go down and broadcast that, which will be pretty interesting.
All right.
So, just
well,
I mean, not only getting to meet Nick also, but I've never been to Ashmore Estates, and I definitely would love to check that place out.
Yeah, I haven't been there either. I mean, obviously Robin always talks about it, but he's put a lot of work into it.
Right.
A lot of elbow grease getting that place up so it's not falling apart.
And it actually was on an episode of Ghost Adventures.
Mm-hmm. That was before he owned it. But, I mean, I think that Robin has pretty much single-handedly saved that place from falling over. And he's actually made it, from the pictures I've seen and what I know about it, pretty cool.
Yeah. And I keep wondering, too, with the stuff he's been doing there, the whole idea that doing remodeling and stuff could energize spirits or whatever.
Remodeling is going to do any kind of change in the environment is going to stir it up a little bit from things I've seen in theory and what other people experience. So added on to the history of the place, and it just looks like a cool place, on top of all that. So
right.
That's pretty cool. Well, I mean, I hope that some people tonight have kind of are going to be able to walk away a little bit more educated, a little bit more wary, or just aware of their surroundings when it comes to how all this works. Maybe there's people out there who maybe I struck a chord with. Maybe they were about television and it made them think, hey, what am I all about? Am I about television or am I about the paranormal? It's okay to be about both. But as long as your passion first really, is in the paranormal, that's going to naturally go into the television part, because if you're really into something, it's going to come across very, very well. And those are the people that get on TV shows, the people who are really passionate about things.
And Robin just put in the chat room, I have the address.
Oh, of Casey in Springfield?
I guess.
Well, when I'm up there, I'll get a car and go check it out.